Fire in the cabin, fire in the hold, fire in the strong room, melting the gold. Fire, fire, fire down below. Fetch a bucket of water, fire down below. Fire around the capstan, fire on the mast, fire on the main deck, burning it fast. Fire, fire, fire down below. Fetch a bucket of water, fire down below. Fire on the waters, fire high above. Fire in our hearts for the friends that we love. Fire, fire, fire down below. Fetch a bucket of water, fire down below.
Welcome back, everyone. It's been a while, hasn't it? But we are here again with part 17 of the Last Starmarked, my Sundered Isles campaign. At the top of the episode, you will have heard an excerpt from the sea shanty Fire Down Below, read by Rule Gaviola. Rule is a board gamer, showrunner and producer for, amongst other things, Good Time Society, Rado Runs Through and Tabletop Tonight. He serves on the committees for the American Tabletop Awards and the Tabletop Writers Guild, and since 2015, he's created family-friendly tabletop gaming content, articles, podcasts, voiceovers, playthrough videos, and live streams, and is also part owner of Play to Z Games. You can find links to all of Rule's work in the down belows, and whilst I have you, why don't you leave a like, subscribe, and click the little bell icon so you can follow along with the campaign each and every week. These things are really important for supporting the channel and supporting what I do, and if you really want to go the extra mile and help fund this nonsense, then why not check out the Bad Spot Patreon. There you'll get early ad-free access to all episodes, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, and your name on screen like these lovely people. Okay, so what the hell happened last time? It was, I think, 4 months ago now, so I don't blame you if any of you have forgotten. So let's try and recap, but we'll do it by kind of zooming out a bit and talking about what the last 8 episodes were about in a sort of big picture sense, because they principally concerned Gideon posing as the captain of the Perilous Venture, which was a research vessel heading across the Ember Strait towards the cursed Isle of Navini. Now, Gideon wasn't supposed to be on that ship, but he was a victim of circumstance, shall we say, and just happened to be holding the captain's credentials that he had stolen and was trying to give to someone else, that someone being Finn, the mysterious vigilante he had been helping attempt to get aboard the ship. Now, Gideon was also accidentally in possession of the Crown of Tides, which is a powerful relic that binds its wearer to the sea. Finn was trying to get aboard the Perilous Venture with the crown when Felicity Devereaux, the dangerous agent of the League of Smoke and Steel, who Gideon has been tracking across the region, appeared in a submersible warship and completely obliterated the dock at Crown Falls. Long story short, Finn ends up nearly dead and buried in the rubble, and Gideon ends up on the Perilous Venture with the Crown of Tides and the captain's credentials. So most of the last 8 episodes were about Gideon trying to bluff being a captain, leading a dangerous voyage to a cursed island. We learned that aboard this ship was a very well-armed security detail who are guarding a mysterious cargo, which turns out to be the Crown of Tides, although Gideon knows that what they are holding in the cargo hold is fake, because he has the real Crown of Tides in his satchel. The crew is led by First Mate Harrington, who Gideon quickly realises is not who she says she is, and is on board assuming someone else's identity, although what that identity is and what her motive is unclear. Eventually, the voyage reaches the cursed Isle of Navini, and they begin their dangerous, near-suicidal task of working their way to the island's interior to return the crown to its rightful place. Of course, Gideon has the real crown, and the security detail have the forgery, but that remains a secret. The party is ambushed by a giant ancient crocodile, leaving Gideon, Harrington, and Lorenzo the only surviving members of the team that rowed ashore. Gideon somehow manages to resist the call of the crown and returns it to the court of the Sunken Queen. Doing so causes the island to sink, returning this barren, arid wasteland to the lush, verdant isle it was before the crown was removed in the first place. Gideon, Lorenzo, and Harrington make their way back to the perilous venture, only to find the rest of the crew have been killed, seemingly by a powerful magic book that was being held in the cargo hold. Upon witnessing this horrifying scene, Gideon, Lorenzo, and Harrington don't have much time to process it or do anything about it when Felicity turns up in the submersible warship. After Navini sank back into the sea, something must have happened aboard the sub because the crew turned against her, leaving her to fight and kill them all single-handed. Just as this happens, the vampires of the night ships arrive. They have been pursuing the crown and Gideon for some time and have come to collect. Also, to make things uber complicated, the Circle of Silent Hands, who own the submersible that Felicity stole, and they very much want it back, by the way, they arrive in a hot air balloon and just start blasting. Like, they start unloading munitions on both the Perilous Venture and the warship. A frenzied firefight begins. Gideon escapes the vampires and boards the submersible to rescue Felicity, returns to the Perilous Venture. Then the Circle of Silent Hands board and reclaim the submersible, and then disappear just before Bloodwake, the vampire's ancient flagship, arrives and scythes the Perilous Venture in two, destroying it for good. Gideon comes to in a strange place. This place is revealed to be Flotsam, which is an artificial island made of lashed-together shipwrecks where a conclave of pirate captains called the Dreadcourt meet to discuss matters of great urgency or importance. Gideon is brought before the court by Harrington, whose true identity is now known as Webb. She has been tracking Gideon for some time, apparently because of his star mark. It's then revealed in a flashback that the mysterious woman from the lighthouse that we have seen in Gideon's dreams also has a star mark on her back. Gideon is shown a drawing of this by a fearsome pirate captain, a grizzled man with one leg and a giant harpoon. The vampire captain of the night ships Esmeralda O'Rourke is in attendance also, alongside 6 other heads of the marauder pirate clans. Felicity is also brought out. Her mechanical arm has been removed, rendering her powerless to fight back. The two are told they are being given a dangerous mission, one that seems tied to Gideon's and the woman in his dreams star marks, and also involves the notorious Goldcrest Trading Company. And I think that's it. I think that's about everything we need to kind of know. That's a lot. I don't think that we left any progress unmarked from last time. Also, we don't have any active vows right now because we've completed them all, I think. I do get the impression that that's about to change. I do think, though, that in the flashback where we learned more about the woman in the lighthouse, this person that Gideon clearly has an intense romantic connection to, we learn that A, she's got a star mark, and B, appears to be alive. She's taken by some troops at the end of that flashback. So I think that they are two very meaningful pieces of insight. So I think that we can mark progress twice on our background vow, which takes us up to 2.25 marks out of 10. So now we are up to date on all that. Let's begin. Gideon looks worried. He's been this way since the doors of the cell closed 3 days ago. He's perched on the edge of a simple bed in the small, unremarkable stone cell. Lorenzo is curled up on the pillow, sleeping. In the cell next to his, we can see Felicity. She lays on her side, her back to him. He could have sworn he hadn't seen her move since they'd been in here if it wasn't for the occasional shaking in her shoulders that gave away the fact that she'd been quietly crying. You could easily mistake her for being dead. They've been treated well, all things considered, fed regularly, not roughed up or interrogated. But what worries Gideon is that no one is telling him anything. There seemed to be a great deal of excitement after he confirmed the existence of the star mark, but after that he was dragged in here and left. He tried to confer with Felicity several times, but she had been unresponsive. Whatever will she has or had has been thoroughly broken. But this isolation is about to end. He gets to his feet as he hears raised voices coming from the end of the corridor. He can't see who it is, no matter how hard he tries to squeeze his head through the bars. There's some louder, sterner words exchanged, and then the sound of footsteps coming towards his cell. He steps back, awaiting a visitor. A figure arrives at the door of his cell, unaccompanied. It's a woman. She's older, dark-skinned, immaculately turned out with an eye patch, spiraling blue sapphire set into the velvet. It's Sabrina McCabe, Governess of Port Emblyn, agent of the Ebb Tide, and the person in the world that Gideon most wanted to see right now. She says, "You can temper your excitement, Mr. Finch. I'm not here to oversee your release." Wait, what? Listen very carefully. You are on this course now, and there is nothing I can do to deviate you from it. The ebb tide is wide-reaching and more powerful than we wish anyone to know, but we have no authority or standing here. The strings I had to pull to even be granted an audience, never mind to be able to speak to you. Gods, how are you even still alive? I've been asking myself the same thing lately. I never expected you to make it past the appetizers at Whitlock Manor, but you continually find ways to surprise me. I can assure you, it's more luck than judgment. Look, if you aren't here to get me out, then what are you here for? Firstly, I had to see for myself that you were still alive. Secondly, I must tell you to accept whatever task you are given, no matter how dangerous or how improbable the odds are. Hey, there's only so much a man can do. Gideon. And that's like the first time she's first named him. That's the first time she's ever called him Gideon, so he knows he's in trouble. She says, "These people will not kill you if you refuse. They will break you down and take pieces from you until there is nothing left to take. But they will get what they want." And there's this subtle moment. Gideon notices it, and he's good at noticing these small things, where McCabe sort of favors her eye patch, doesn't gesture to it, but you can tell she perhaps turns away, as if that tells part of this story and her relationship with the Dread Court. She continues, "I will try my level best to keep you in our sight, to try and keep you protected, but there is only so much I can do." And then she holds the bars and leans in, whispers into his ear, "When the time comes, Koshiba." She leaves. Gideon is in his cell. He looks confused, looks at Lorenzo and says, "Koshiba? What does that even mean?" Okay, so McCabe has checked in on us. So that's a relationship we have, and it has some mechanics to go along with it. So let's make a move. And that move is test your relationship. It says when your relationship with a connection is tested through conflict, betrayal, or circumstance, roll plus heart. If you share a bond, add +1. We don't share a bond, so let's test our relationship, rolling plus heart. Okay, that is a strong hit. It says on a strong hit, develop your relationship. And yeah, that means we get to bump it up by 1. We were at 6 before, and now we are at 7. Now, we could forge a bond here. We could make that move and turn this connection into a bond, but I think we're going to save that. So that's where we're at with Sabrina McCabe. But also, it hasn't slipped my mind that we need to level the fuck up because we have some XP, having spent 16 whole episodes not advancing our character anyway. We suddenly have quite a lot of XP to spend, and looking at our trackers, we are sitting on the princely sum of 10 XP. So let's advance. That is its own move, which says when you develop your abilities, improve your resources, gain a reward, or boost your influence, you may spend 3 experience to add a new asset or 2 experience to upgrade an asset. Choose from the following categories as appropriate to your focus and opportunities. So we are going to have a look at the assets we currently have. We also have 10 XP, and I've got some ideas about how I want Gideon to advance to reflect his journey that's kind of come from the fiction. The first thing I'm going to do immediately is spend 3 XP to buy the spy asset, which is a path, and I'm going to immediately spend 2 XP to upgrade it. So we now have 2 abilities on this spy asset, which reflects how he's become a member of the Ebb Tide. The first ability says when you infiltrate a location or event, increase your momentum reset by 1 for the duration of the mission. That's great. That will be super handy. Would have come in real handy in Whitlock Manor. And then also the second ability says when you face danger or secure an advantage to adopt a disguise or establish a false identity, add +1. On a hit, add +1 when using that identity to deceive or influence others. If you score a miss for the match when using a false identity, your deception is completely and dramatically undone. That is very thematic for Gideon, as someone who likes to kind of pose as high society, you know, knobs and just kind of like infiltrate elite social circles. I love that very much. We've still got 5 XP to spend, and I'm going to spend 2 of that immediately upgrading Lorenzo in the monkey asset. So we're going to unlock the ability that says when you make a move by sending the monkey to complete a task involving theft, infiltration, or sabotage, roll plus its health. On a hit, take +1 momentum. I think that's, you know, key. Lorenzo has been pretty good for us, but his core ability, as you know, I don't want to keep spamming that, so giving him another little move that's a bit more flexible is, I think, you know, a good thing. Lastly, we've got 3 XP left. I would like to spend 2 to upgrade the Scoundrel asset, which gives us the new ability when you make a quick escape or con your way out of a situation and burn momentum to gain a strong hit, take +1 momentum after you reset. If you envision how this momentary success leaves you fated for future trouble, mark 2 ticks on your quest legacy track. I think that all of those abilities and all of those kind of new paths that we've added deepen our like mechanical ability to reflect Gideon's character and how he acts normally. I think that all of those things are a bunch of cool extra toys for us to play with, and I'm super excited about getting into the next block of episodes with these new abilities under my belt. We're left with 1 XP. I can't see us advancing again, personally, but it could happen, so who knows. So that's all done. And it's at that moment Gideon left to kind of ponder this cryptic message that Sabrina has left him with, that a chill runs through Gideon's body, and Lorenzo feels it too, coming awake and looking worried on his little monkey face, because inside his cell, Esmeralda O'Rourke appears. She phases into being, and she says, "Well, well, well. Here we are again." Gideon says, "Each time we meet, I'm a captive. It's becoming a pattern. We never did finish what we started, did we?" Gideon says, "I'm sorry. I don't have the crown anymore. And honestly, the second time I stole it, it was an accident." And I think that, like, a couple of things that we established last episode, like Esmeralda O'Rourke being one of the veteran pirate captains of the Dread Court is very important. But, like, she's been tracking him for a long time. She's been part of this story since it began. Like, you know, the live episode is where she appeared for the first time. We brought her back into it in the second block of episodes, and I don't want her to just be like a hot vampire who just keeps turning up to act seductively. I'd like to know more about her like motivation. Like, she was rolled up in the live show as a random obstacle essentially, and she's tied to the crown. The crown is now gone, so I would like to know what's her deal. Like, what's she doing? Finn had like made allusions that the vampire courts needed the crown to restore their power, but like I said, that's now gone. Is it the Starmark thereafter? Like, does that have any bearing on it? But like, I like don't have any idea about Esmeralda O'Rourke, and this is my fault, right? She's too cool to ditch, but like, all of the baggage that she brings is too convoluted to keep around. But this is why I'm drowning in narrative debt, because I can't quite cut the cool story threads go. So I think I would like to establish like what her goal is. Now, luckily for us, the Sundered Isles Oracles have character goals, and also they have cursed character goals. So let's roll on that and see what we can roll up. 71 says, restore own humanity or mortality. Now that's fascinating, because if we say that the vampires are after the Starmark, and Starmarks are maps, and like actually winding it back, the Dread Court, all these, you know, Gideon's Starmark is what they want. If she's part of that court of people who are interested in his Starmark, and Starmarks are maps, then what does her desire to restore her humanity or mortality tell us about the place to which this map leads? Well, the obvious thing to suggest is that like, this place is a place of great power, a mythical place that's like, I don't know, like a fountain of youth thing, like it gives eternal life. That's what I'm thinking, like, off the bat, but that goal said specifically restore mortality, which makes it interesting, because vampires, you know, don't want to be mortal, right? But I'm wondering whether these do. They want to live so they can die. They want to not be vampires anymore, I guess, which is really interesting. So that is, I think, her motivation. Whatever she was seeking before, like the crown, it was like one of a few artifacts that had enough power to, like, I don't know, give the answer to the location of this mythical place, whatever it is. Like, but now that's gone. The crown is gone. The star marks might be the only clues as to the location of this place. Gideon's is partial, it's not complete, but we now know that the woman in the dream had one. So I'm wondering, like, together, do they form one star mark? And is that the last star mark? And that's the place that it leads to, is a place where mortality or immortality can be gained or restored. Like, that's super interesting to me. Like, and I think that a court of pirate captains would also really want to know the location of that. But like, I think I don't want to get too set on like, oh, they're just looking for the Fountain of Youth, because that's, you know, been done many times. But something, a place that has power that can restore life or grant long life or change the status of someone's mortality is what they think the star mark is leading to. Now, again, we'll keep it kind of vague for now, but I can start to see things coming together and the wheels are spinning a little bit. So, and also I think that this gives Esmeralda O'Rourke like more depth. You know, being a smoking hot vampire, it's, you know, it's a living. Well, it's an unliving, I guess. But like, you know, that's not that interesting after a point. Like, she's got to have a reason to hang around, and this is a really good one. So she continues. Says, "Oh, I'm sure you haven't outlived your usefulness." And she kind of pulls up his sleeve. He doesn't have the wrapping around his wrist anymore, and she can trace the outline of his star mark. And Gideon, who usually feels so naked without it being covered, is kind of just frozen to the spot and doesn't kind of react to it. She says, "We all need to be shown the way sometimes." And with that, she phases out, disappears, leaving Gideon and Lorenzo in the cell alone. Gideon, after a second, turns to Lorenzo and says, "What does that even mean?" Now, Gideon is spinning out fully. He's no idea what to make of any of this. And he doesn't really have much time to process it before the person he once knew as Harrington, but now knows as Webb, is at the door of his cell, threading her arms through the bars. And she's dressed in this like a really elaborate way with this kind of big ruffled shirt and immaculate boots and like breeches, a very kind of ornate jacket over the top. Gideon is like, ugh. She says, "Spare me the indignance, Finch. You marked me as an imposter the second we met." Well, I shouldn't be surprised that a relationship based on deceit should end with me behind bars and you holding the keys. All I do is stay one step ahead of the game. Look, what is it they want me to do? Steal something? Webb takes a moment, kind of looks at Gideon and says, "What's her name?" "The woman with the mark." And he's not going to tell her, but I would like us to know, so let's roll one up. 53 is Rhea. Gideon says, "What does it matter to you?" She says, "Just idle curiosity." What is it they want me to do? I have no idea. So let's roll something up. We are kind of pulling this all kind of vaguely together. We know this has to somehow involve the woman from Gideon's past, from the Lighthouse Dreams. Her name is Rhea. We now know that. But let's see what the Oracle says and kind of sort of figure it out from there. Now, we know that the Goldcrest Trading Company are somehow involved, but we don't know who they are or what they want. There isn't a faction goal oracles the way there is a character goal oracle, but there is a very cool oracle that is about faction secrets. So let's have a couple of rolls and see if we can figure something out. 33 hides true purpose behind a false front. Okay, so they're not a trading company. That's perhaps drawing a little closely on real history here. But they're whatever they are is a front for something else. Let's see if we can find some kind of cursed faction oracles. There's a cursed faction aspect oracle. Let's give that a roll. 83 is supernaturally bound to a place or ship. Okay, so the Goldcrest Trading Company aren't really a trading company, but they are also cursed by being bound supernaturally to a place or a ship. So kind of working back from that, what do they need? Like, why do they need Rhea? We can assume it's because of our star mark or whatever it does, and where it leads. And I wonder whether because these marks are maps, the place that it leads to is the key to lifting their curse. So they need to also go to this powerful place that changes states of things, right? We've got O'Rourke wanted to go somewhere that will restore her mortality, and we've got the Goldcrest Trading Company want to go somewhere to lift a curse that binds them to a place or ship. So if that's the case, those two people who want that, then why do the Dread Court want it? Like, what is their part in it? Like, are they also looking for where these star marks lead? And if so, like, why? If it's a restorative kind of fountain of youth place, like, or a place that breaks some curse, such as the Goldcrest Trading Company want, like, and it can undo permanent death to Esmeralda and the Night Ships, like, I wonder what do the Dreadcourt want with it? I mean, I suppose it's just like a powerful place, isn't it? And like them knowing where it is puts them in a really powerful position. But also I wonder whether like all three of these factions that are interested in this, so the vampires, the Dreadcourt, and the Goldcrest Trading Company, I wonder if they're all not 100% sure what this place is. They're just kind of hoping it does the thing they want it to. But I think a key thing is like something that's really interesting is that like Goldcrest Trading Company are holding Rhea, but what the Dreadcourt have figured out, I think, is that to unlock the location of this place, they need Gideon and Rhea together. Like, and the Goldcrest Trading Company don't know about Gideon. They haven't been able to figure out how to unlock the location of where this star mark on Rhea leads to because they haven't got Gideon there as well. But the Dreadcourt have figured it out, and I think that's the leverage they get. So I think the running theme of this episode is about like motivation, right? We're starting to figure out what all these different people in these various factions want and perhaps why. But there is still one person that we need to figure out a motivation for, and that's the person who is in the cell next to Gideon. That's Felicity. Because like there's been something that's been kind of bothering me. Like she's really cool as a character. We rolled her up as the kind of antagonist for this the mission that started all this, the thing at Whitlock Manor, and her having a kind of a steampunk clockwork prosthetic arm was just something we rolled up. But then we kind of turned her into the Winter Soldier, this kind of killing machine, and this kind of indestructible person. But like, what does she want? Like, she can't just be this. I think that we're at this moment where she's incredibly vulnerable. She's been essentially like disabled by the Marauder clans because they removed her arm, right? But we set up at the end of, I keep blaming we, it's me. I did this. I set up at the end of last episode, like the fact that she was going on this mission with Gideon. And I didn't think too much about that because like, have you met me? But like she needs a reason to like not just kill everyone when they give her arm back, right? And just escape, because she can do that. Like she can fight her way out of anything. But without her arm, like she's completely exposed and vulnerable. So we need a reason for her to help out, right? And for her to do this. And when I was rolling on those character goal oracles, like one entry that was there on the curse table really jumped out at me. And that was serve a black-hearted overlord. And it got me thinking, like, what if Felicity has been doing the bidding of someone against her will? Like, maybe it was a debt that she had to repay, perhaps, and this person, this black-hearted overlord, has continued to hold this power over her. And I wonder whether at some point she escaped their clutches, but she actually still serves their interests. Like, she's working for the League of Smoke and Steel currently, and that's, you know, why she stole the ship and she did all the other things that she's done so far. But I think that she has another master, and I think that that master is the head of the Goldcrest Trading Company, and I think that's really interesting. And I think Gideon, like, to pull all this together, I think Gideon watches Webb unlock the door to Felicity's cell and enter. And she's just been laying still the whole time, just on her bed, motionless. Webb looks down, and she's like holding this roll of fabric, right? And she unfurls it, and Felicity's prosthetic arm rolls out and down onto the bed. Beside her, it's been cleaned and buffed to a high sheen. And Gideon says, What are you doing? She'll kill us all. And Webb says, Oh, I can assure you she won't. Not until she kills someone else first. Thank you a million times. Thank you for watching. Please like this video, subscribe if you've not done so already, and click the little bell icon so you can be notified as soon as the next video drops. I'll be back next time, but until then, it is farewell and safe passage.